Hello, my name is Minister Pamela Brown of Let's Pray Ministry. As you know, I have been on a fundraiser for the Power of Pride. I'm interviewing a close friend of mine that has had cancer, and she's a survivor, thank God. But there's many of us today that are still suffering from cancer, and the disease is devastating. I also have another friend, Andronette, that is going through cancer right now, and she's a double amputee because she had past cancer, and now she has cancer once more, and she had throat cancer. She was a choir director that sung the fates of God and taught the children of high schools to sing God's praise. It was devastating for her to hear that she may not speak or sing again. Through prayer, we have been praying, and she says that they have reconstructed her throat box, and they were able to get all of the cancer. She doesn't even have to do chemo. So I pray that she heals and she'll be able to eat as well as be able to sing again God's praise. I will stand by her side as I stood by my friend's side. And she would tell her story, the Reverend, she's a Reverend. She would tell her story of how she entailed cancer and being gay. And also when she reached out for help, what actually happened. This shouldn't happen to any of us in life. When we reach out for help, we should be able to get it. That's the way God planned it to be for both of us and all of us, to look upon each other when we need a helping hand, to be His guardian angels, to look over at our friends and our family as if they were our children, and how we look over to them. But she was devastated when she did reach out. So she's going to tell her story in a few minutes. And I want you to listen and see why the power of pride is so important. It not only supports the LGBTQ community, it supports all genders and all people. It doesn't narrow itself down. Please donate today. I'm just asking $1. $1. If 100 people gave $1, that would be $100. Please, just think about it. That's the way God would want it to be. For you to help save lives today. God bless all of you. Minister Pamela. Minister Pamela Brown from Let's Pray. As you know, I have been on a fundraiser for the Power of Pride, which is from the American Cancer Society for cancer. I've been asking for donations as well as doing fundraisers. But I wanted you to know more about the Power of Pride and what it entailed, because it doesn't define itself. Even though I've explained it on my bike, you really need to personally know about it. And this is today with Reverend Geffen, a former cancer person, and she is now in remission. She's going to tell you how she dealt with her cancer, how the trials and tribulations she went through. Reverend Geffen is, what's your pronoun?
My name.
Okay, all right, they. I've known Reverend Geffen for over 10, 20 years now, maybe?
Almost
It's
25
been
years.
25 years.
Almost 25.
We've been very good friends. Actually, she's the one that helped me to realize that I had a calling, and asked me when was I going to stop playing around and come to the light. So she's my mentor in so many ways and a very good friend. She is gay. I would say gay trans to a certain extent, because she has considered transitioning, and she feels that she is a transgender. But we're going to not even put that into sight. What I want you to hear today is how it feels being in our community and having cancer. So we're going to start, and she's going to tell her story. About 3 years ago, I found out that I had a mass on my right boob. And 2 months before then, I had bariatric surgery. And I thought, wow, why is this happening to me now and not before that bariatric surgery? And when I found out, it was devastating. The two first people that I really needed to make contact with was my mom and one of my brothers. And I think if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to get through it. And I talked to my brother about going through organizations, about trying to help me for payments and stuff, because I didn't know what I was going to be looking forward to, and I only worked part-time. And it was just a struggle. And basically, if it wasn't for my brother, I'd probably be owing money still to this day. But I feel that the American Cancer Society, when I reached out to them through email and phone, they really couldn't help me with anything. So that made it more kind of depressing for me, because it can be depressing on top of being, you know, it's a physical, emotional, and psychological thing to go through with cancer. So if anybody out there needs to go and find out and reference and figure out what they need to do when they find out that they have cancer, first thing, just go to Google and start looking up companies or groups or organizations that may be able to reach out and help you. Honestly, I think if my family wasn't with me and my prayer family, I don't think I would have gotten through it. I am grateful each and every day that I have my health, but we still need to help the people out there, no matter who they are, that need help. Jen, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind. When you were going through the battle of cancer, what type of support system did you have? Basically, my family, and I have close-knit friends from here to California. Did you feel sometimes alone? Oh yeah, because when you don't know what to look forward to and what procedures you have to do before you even get surgery or even after surgery, it's very overwhelming for anybody. And when I look back, it was probably really easy, but the first time you do something for the first time, it is very scary and overwhelming. And after that, hopefully you become more okay with it and relax in that situation, because if you don't, you just make it worse emotionally for you. Reverend, did they have to do a mastectomy, or were they able to save your breast? They were able to save my breast. I did ask, though, if I could have them both removed, because I was afraid if it came back or spread, you might as well just get it over with now, because most of my life I wasn't very concerned about having a productive breast per se. I could have been flash-chested and been happy about it, but the surgeon said no, we could just take it out, and there shouldn't be a problem with that. Reverend, in the community, how much support did you get in our LGBTQ community, do you feel?
I would just say in my own personal circle, I've never really reached out to the center per se, but I do have friends in different kind of spiritual surroundings, church or synagogue, that did help and pray with me. So I felt comfortable about that, and I thought that was something healthy that I needed and wanted in that time frame, as well as things that go on in everyday life.
Reverend, how did it affect you financially? Were you able to work, or did it become a burden on you?
I was still working. It was hard. It was tiring, and I think if I could have taken at least 2 months off after the surgery, it would have done wonders. But since I had the bariatric surgery 2 months earlier, I already took my month off and saved up for having that surgery, so it was kind of hard. So I just did what I could and keep working, and I was mentally and emotionally and physically tired.
Mm-hmm. Jen, I wanted to ask you, you had spoke earlier about reaching out to the Cancer Society?
Yes.
When you reached out, what reply did you get?
They just basically told me that they didn't have anything. It was mostly for children at that time frame. And as of today, I'm finding out it's still the same thing, that monies are going to families with children. And I thought that was a big heartbreak for me, because I thought they were for everybody, no matter whom they were in the United States. So it was a letdown, but that wasn't going to deter me from keeping to find out what I can do financially or emotionally to get me through this process. Because it is a process, and of course to this day I still have to, we all have to check ourselves, male or female. Because I just found out not even a year ago, I had a friend of mine that was male that had breast cancer. And he passed, and I'm sorry that he passed, but he tried to do all the things that he could. And I tried to give him references, but he did whatever he could. God rest his soul.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very saddened to hear that they didn't have the financial funding and support to help you in your situation. Now that we have made Power of Pride, do you think that's a good cause to have for our community?
Yes, because we need to reach out to our community, as well as the non-GBLTQX. They all need to know what's happening. Because if you don't know what's happening, how are we supposed to go forward? And hopefully provide for the people, excuse me.
Jen, as in companionship, during this troubling time of the battle of cancer, who did you depend on the most to help you through?
My son, Buddy. He is my heart and joy. I don't know where I would be without him, but he's a good boy. He doesn't like being on camera, but that's okay. He doesn't like his picture taken, but I got many of them. If it wasn't for him, I think my evening or nighttime would have been really hard on me. And I think if I didn't have him, I think I could have been depressed beyond what I can imagine. But if anybody can have a pet out there, no matter what kind of disease you may have, or even just everyday life, there's animals that need to be rescued. And yeah, Buddy did have a scare 2 years ago with having cancer, but it was just a fatty tissue, and I was grateful for that. But I don't know what I would have had to do if I had to go through cancer with him or not. I'm not sure, because a part of me feels that animals shouldn't have to go through chemo, but
And we never think about
Yeah.
animals having cancer. You know, that is true. I don't know if we've even done a fundraiser for animals with cancer because it's financially devastating to the owners. You know, I know that he's your child.
yeah.
And it would have been very difficult. I remember going through that with you and praying and hoping that Buddy would be okay because I couldn't even imagine. It was like the first thing I thought, oh, this is going to cost a lot because a common x-ray is almost $200. So, you know, it's very hard.